Jae-Yong is the newest Mythic Brawler coming to the game, and he is the first member of a brand new trio. We don't really know anything about his background, well, except we know that he works a very boring office job and that he loves to sing karaoke at night. In his mind, he is the best singer around and has a huge fan base. We're not totally sure that that lines up with actual reality, though.
The stage is set, kicking it old school. Come into my fiery heart.
Stick around for the end where we'll show you all of his voice lines and pins. Jae-Young's main attack is work hard, play hard. First of all, Jae-Yong has two modes which he can switch between, and his main attack is different depending on which mode he is in. While he's in his work mode, Jae-Yong throws a projectile that damages enemies and also leaves a trail behind it that will increase the movement speed when he or his teammates are on it. In his party mode, the projectile will deal a little bit more damage and it will heal teammates that are hit by it. The projectile can pierce through any number of targets, whether they are friendly or unfriendly, no matter which mode he's in. Jae-Young's super is Mix It Up. Activating his super is how Jae-Yong actually switches between his two modes, but it does more than just that. If he's switching to his work mode, he and any nearby teammates will get a 30% movement speed buff for a few seconds, very similar to Max's super. If he's switching to his party mode, he and any nearby enemies will instantly recover 1,500 health. Now, Jae-Yong will then remain in whichever mode he's in until another super is used, and you can tell which mode he's in from the little icon next to his ammo bar. Jae-Young's actually going to be released the day after this video goes live for early access. Then he'll be released for everybody a week later. Jae-Young's first gadget is Weekend Warrior. When his gadget is activated, he deals a little bit of damage to enemies within his super radius, and then his main attack essentially changes to a third type of projectile, but only for a few seconds. There's nothing special about this projectile except that it does more damage, at least compared to his other two projectiles. But keep in mind that this gadget will make it so that the effects from whichever mode he's in are gone, so he won't be able to heal anyone or speed them up during this time. Jae-Young's second gadget is Time for a Slow Song. This gadget is very similar to his first one, except that when this one is activated, nearby enemies will be slowed for a few seconds. Then, for the next few seconds, Jae-Young's attacks will deal normal damage, but will leave trails behind it that slow enemies who are on them. This projectile is kind of like sort of the opposite of his regular projectile while he's in work mode, but both of these gadgets have their own icons, so you'll always know which type of gadget he's going to throw. Jae-Young's first star power is And the Crowd Goes Mild. This star power will increase Jae-Young's movement speed as long as there are teammates within range of his super. The buff will actually stack depending on how many teammates are near him, so if one teammate's nearby, then he'll move 10% faster, and if there are two teammates nearby, he'll move 20% faster. And no, he does not count as a teammate, so he won't just permanently be faster with his star power. Jae-Young's second star power is Extra High Note. Oh gosh, I'm so sorry. This star power will increase the damage of each of Jae-Young's projectiles every time they hit an enemy target after the first, okay? So, for example, if Jae-Yong hits an enemy with his main attack, if that same projectile goes through that target and hits a second target, it will deal 20% more damage to the second target. Then, if that same projectile hits a third target, it will deal 20% more, and so on and so forth. So the damage boost does work on non-brawler targets. So brawler pets and even the enemy heist safe will add damage to the stack. Kind of like, a little bit like Penny's attack, right? Does more splash damage behind where the targets that she hits. Anyway, I should mention that the healing from his party mode will not increase this star power, only damage. Jae-Yong is also getting a wasabi power, though it will be temporary and removed when the rest of the wasabi powers are removed from the game. His wasabi power makes his super charge much faster, allowing him to switch modes a lot more times throughout the match, and he leaves trails wherever he walks that increases the movement speed of his team, just like his work mode attack. But since this trail is left wherever he walks, he's technically always on the trail, and so he always gets the movement speed buff 100% of the time. Okay, now it's time for the Brawl Stars Olympics to compare Jae-Yong to the rest of the brawlers in the game. We're gonna start off with his worst test and work our way up to his best test, without the wasabi power, of course. First up, we have the supercharge test. Now, Jae-Yong's super is very unique because dealing damage with his attacks actually will not charge his super. His super just constantly charges at the same rate all of the time. It takes him 6.6 seconds to recharge Jae-Young's super every time he uses one. That puts him in 88th place. That suggests he has a really slow charging super, but it's actually a pretty bad test for Jae-Young because he's always going to have it up every 6 seconds. So honestly, like he would win the auto charging super test. How's that? Next is the boss test. Jae-Young deals more damage in his party mode, so he doesn't ever need to switch during this test. He actually can't do very much damage over time, but at least his first gadget helps him out quite a bit every time it recharges. Jae-Young defeats the boss in 1 minute and 22.5 seconds, so he gets 82nd place. Next, we have the super range test. Jae-Young's super can't be thrown, but it still has a decent radius of 3 2/3 tiles in both of his modes, which is actually enough for him to tie with Stu and Meg for 81st place. Next is the super damage test. Whether he's switching to party mode or work mode, Jae-Young's super only gives stat buffs. It doesn't deal any damage, so he ties with 20 other brawlers for 72nd place, who also don't deal damage with their super. Next is the area test. Jae-Young's attack is able to break 16 skulls in either mode, but again, his super doesn't deal any damage, so it doesn't break any skulls. His first gadget does deal damage, but for some reason, it didn't break any skulls either. So Jae-Young breaks a total of 16 skulls, and would suggest he doesn't do a good job at controlling area, but he has much more area control than this would actually suggest. He actually ties with Ollie, Amber, Stu, Kaze, and Carl for 71st place. Next, we have the assassin test. Jae-Young activates his first gadget and then easily unloads his first 3 ammo. He's able to reload and fire a 4th shot that is still affected by the gadgets, so between the gadget itself and the added damage with each attack, Jae-Young deals 10,500 damage in total and gets 68th place. Next is the 3 attack kill test. Now, Jae-Young can't use the damage from his first gadget itself, but he still gets the added damage to each of his projectiles, so each projectile does 2,300 damage. 3 of those would add up to 6,900 health or damage, which is enough to take out 47 brawlers in the game and puts Jae-Young in 68th place. Next is the auto-aim test. Jae-Young's able to hit Nita with any of his projectiles from 4 tiles away, meaning there's no difference in the size or speed of his projectiles. With his gadget activated, he deals 2,300 damage from 4 tiles away, so he gets 49th place. So far, Jae-Young has performed worse than half of the brawlers in the game, but from this point on, he performs better than half of the brawlers in the game. Starting us off with the reload test. Jae-Young's reload speed is not affected by which mode he's in, and it's actually a pretty decent speed for how much value his main attack can provide. He unloads and reloads 10 shots in 18.2 seconds. That puts him in 44th place. Next is the 1 second DPS test. Very similar to the assassin test, Jae-Young only has his first gadget to help him in this test, but he is able to unload all 3 of his shots within the same second, so he deals 8,200 damage in total and gets 42nd place. Next is the survival test. Jae-Young has 6,800 total health, and his super does recover 1,500 health, but only every other time he uses it, since it's only if he's switching to party mode. He's able to heal only twice before he's defeated and survives for 26.4 seconds, so he ties with Eve for 40th place. Next is the attack range test. All of Jae-Young's attacks have the same range no matter which mode he's in. They all reach across 8 2/3 tiles, so he ties with 8 other brawlers, including Pearl and Lola for 39th place. He's a pretty decent mid-range brawler. Next is our favorite test, the race test. Now, Jae-Young starts by using his super to switch to his work mode so he can get a small speed boost. Then he continually uses his main attack to create a special trail all the way across the map, which increases his movement speed, so he's got a good speed buff the whole time. He finishes the race test in 9.3 seconds, which puts him in 27th place. I should also mention that he has a fast movement speed always. That's very similar to like Bull and Daryl. Next is the box test. Not only does Jae-Young get help from his gadget in this test, but also from his second star power, since it does work on boxes. He stays in his party mode since those projectiles deal slightly more damage than his work mode, and he's able to hit every box in a group with a single projectile. So honestly, the more boxes, the better for Jae-Young. He completes the box test in 33.5 seconds and gets 26th place, and would suggest he's going to be all right for ramping up damage in solo showdown or showdown at all. Next is the splash test. Jae-Young uses his gadget to deal a little damage to all the boxes, and then his star power allows him to take out almost 3 full rows of boxes with just his first 3 ammo. It only takes him 1 more attack to clean up the rest of them, so he completes the splash test in 4.9 seconds and gets 15th place. Even more impressive though is the swarm test. Jae-Young's able to take out 2 full rows of bots with only 1 attack, and it doesn't even require him to use his gadget or his star power. With only 2 shots, Jae-Young defeats the swarm in only 2 seconds, which puts him in 6th place overall. Honestly, Jae-Young actually scored really well in these tests compared to a lot of other support brawlers, since support brawlers don't typically score well in the Olympics. So how strong is he actually going to be in each game mode? We're gonna go with the A tier for gem grab. Jae-Young should be pretty good at gem grab, mostly because of how much he can help his teammates maintain map control. Honestly, he would probably be an S tier gem grab brawler if he had some sort of way to like stop assassins. But that seems to be his only weakness, and it's a pretty big weakness. His constant movement speed buffs and his heals should make him a good brawler for collecting gems, and he should be able to easily help his teammates win their lanes if he is in the middle. So I think the A tier makes a lot of sense for him. For Brawl Ball, though, we're going to go with the B tier. I just can't rank him very high in Brawl Ball just because I don't think that he's going to be as useful if he's on his own in this mode. I could see him being a really good option if he has the right brawlers on his team, but he probably isn't going to be scoring a lot of goals himself or even stopping enemies from scoring on him, right? Like he's just doesn't have that stopping power. He could be ranked a little bit higher for like really competitive play, like top of the line pro players. And you know, that's kind of what the pro tier list is for anyway. But like, I mean, I don't know. I just can't see it. Maybe though. We'll see. For Heist though, he's going in the C tier. Like most support brawlers, Heist is just going to be his worst game mode, right? He has low damage output over time. However, he might still be better than most support brawlers simply because his second star power is useful. All of his attacks being able to pierce is really good for Heist. And if he can hit 1 or 2 targets before he hits the safe, he honestly might be a big problem. He's not going to be one of the worst Heist brawlers, so I'm going to give him the C tier. But yeah, he's definitely not going to be the best. He wouldn't be my choice, at least. Next, we got Bounty, and I'm going to go with the B tier. Jae-Young doesn't quite have the range to be one of the best Bounty brawlers, and he doesn't really have good ways to get kills or escape with a high bounty. That being said, his speed and his heals should allow him and his team to put a lot of pressure on the enemy team, even on really open maps. And I guess his gadget could be used to like 3-shot a lot of brawlers if he manages to get close enough to hit them. Yeah. B tier makes sense for Bounty, but his best game mode for sure has got to be Hot Zone. And for so many different reasons, right? Obviously, his speed and his heals will be most valuable in this mode. And more often than not, there's going to be lots of targets inside the hot zone at any given time, whether it's going to be a teammate for him to heal or several enemies for him to pierce through and push out of the zone. His second gadget is another great ability for this mode because he wouldn't even really need to actually hit enemies with the attacks as long as they totally shut down the lane and prevent enemies from getting into the zone, right? He's going to be really good. I'm going to give him the S tier in the hot zone. And B tier for Knockout. Knockout's just another questionable game mode for support brawlers, right? But I really like Jae-Young. He's really fun, and I think he's got a lot of good potential. I like him more for Knockout than Bounty because of all of his abilities being really good toward like the end of a match when players are a little bit closer to each other. He's got a good range there, and giving all your team increased movement speed and health while at the same time dealing damage to enemies and even slowing them down seems like it could be really strong if everyone is able to survive until the smoke rolls in, which happens more in competitive play than like non-competitive play. So I think B tier actually is fine. For Solo Showdown, we're okay. We're gonna give him the F tier. I hate giving brawlers F tier, but like, yeah, so many of Jae-Young's abilities just benefit teammates even more than they benefit himself. And like I said before, he doesn't have any way to knock assassins back or escape from enemies that get too close. And that happens all the time in Solo Showdown. So I just can't imagine that there would ever be a good reason to play him in solo, at least not over duos and trios. So F tier for Solo Showdown, but A tier for duo and trio showdown, right? He's gonna be great at this. His first star power should give him tons of value since you're usually right by your teammates' sides, right? He's very good at breaking boxes and disallowing enemies from using them as cover because he can splash through them. And he obviously just makes his teammates stronger, right? So you just get Jae-Young and a couple of teammates in trio showdown, you should be golden. His survivability itself is not the best, but if he has 1 or 2 brawlers by his side to protect him, I think he's going to be just fine. Honestly, Jae-Young seems like a really good support brawler to me. He seems really fun to use. And I don't think he actually looks horribly broken. I think they did a good job with him. And I'm just like really excited to play him. We're not going to have to wait long, right? He's releasing tomorrow or in a week, depending on you know, the money. But I want to know if you guys feel the same. So let me know your thoughts on Jae-Yong in the comment section below. Let's get a look at all of his voice lines and pins now.
Mic drop moment. There is no ballad sad enough. Once again, I rise. Time for an encore. For my fans, I love you all. I love you all. Let's make this an unforgettable moment. This song is for you all. This song is for you all. I will give you all my heart. Love has left, but I still fight. I should have stayed in accounting. If I die, play my demo. No, my dream can end here. Pitch perfect performance. This is not a duet. Sing when you are winning. Time for a triumphant melody. Come into my fiery heart. My mic, my moment. This was just a rehearsal. Born to sing, built to win. Second place is still respectable. I'm the real deal. The sweet taste of victory. Take a deep breath. Take a deep breath. Let's take it down a notch. Let's go nice and slow. Let's go nice and slow. Melodic power. Join the pain train. Emotional damage. Emotional damage. Ride the rhythm of your heart. Feel the moment. More passion, more energy, more footwork. Show me some energy. This is our moment. Let's go. It's party time. Melodic middle-aged mayhem. Singing king is ready to swing. Kicking it old school. Karaoke style. My love is battlefield. The stage is set.